Welcome to That Digital Take. I'm your host, Torri Webster. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the pod. Happy Monday. Welcome to That Digital Take. I'm so excited to be back with you. Now, for a little bit of context, my rollout schedule for the pod has been happening slowly over time. So hopefully by the time this reaches you, we are more in alignment with the real timeline, because I know you guys have been listening to episodes that have been slightly block shot. So for some context, we are heading near the holiday season. I actually just went to the Taylor Swift Eras tour last night. So I figured I would start the show kind of there. There's lots to catch you up on. It's been a busy couple of weeks since I've not been filming the pod. So I've got lots to wrap up today, but I do want to start with Taylor because it does feel like a fabulous place to start. So a little bit of context. I do want to say I'm sorry to all the moms out there who have not been able to secure tickets for their daughters. It's kind of like breaking my heart, actually, on social media. I'm like watching a lot of like friends and also just like moms online, like really sad and like taking on the anxiety and stress of like not being able to secure tickets for their kids. And it's just like very stressful and sad to me. And it also kind of brought up these weird feelings of like stress and a little bit of anxiety, because I feel like with this job, sometimes there's this alignment with like access to these events and access to these like special pop culture moments, which I'm obviously immensely grateful for. And I love so much, and I love Taylor. So like, I love that I got to go, but it did bring up these feelings of like Hollywood almost, because it's rare that events in Toronto feel this way, because for the most part, this is a really like chill, more inclusive town than LA or than Hollywood. But sometimes there are these events or these kind of more exclusive experiences. And when these things do come to town, it does kind of feel a little bit like the Influencer Olympics, which is something we did kind of chat about a little bit when we were talking about Coachella back in the day. And kind of this idea of access and how people end up getting access to the shows. Now, I will say, and transparently, I am going to the show twice, which again, like immense gratitude and so cool. And I really am a huge Taylor fan. So I feel like for me, it's a safe place to say that I'm going twice, because like I would pay my own money to go twice. But both times that I'm going are kind of through industry access and like industry experiences. So I thought it was like kind of important to say that and disclose that, because I think I've been feeling so bad about these experiences where people are trying to purchase tickets, and it makes me realize that sometimes this job just affords a certain level of access. And for the first round of shows, which I went to last night, I actually got the tickets because one of my friends just happened to know one of her dancers. Like it really was that internal and that random. And again, I think important to say, because it's not like I got a code and was able to purchase tickets and whatever. And then the second time around, I am going with a brand. So again, I kind of feel like bad somehow. And I don't know if that's like the right feeling, but I know there also is this perception online of like, influencers shouldn't be getting access to shows versus like real fans. But it is sort of this strange, it's in conflict with itself, because I also am a real fan and I would have paid my own money. So I don't know. I just figured I wanted to be transparent about my experience and how I got to the concert, because I feel like I don't want people to think that, that I've just like paid all this money and got all this access. I don't know. I think it was just a fair game to be open about how I got inside the doors last night. So all that to say, I did get into the concert, and wow. I mean, I have a few thoughts. One, I can't believe she stays on stage for so long. She went on at 7:50. She wrapped out at like honestly close to 11:30 p.m. at night. The stamina, the energy. I didn't see this woman sip water. I obviously know she's taking water breaks when she goes off and does her outfit changes, but like to be able to show up at that level for so long, for so many hours, like even by the end, the whole Rogers Center, you could feel the energy going down a little bit, because you just have tired fans. Like people are just standing on their feet and they're exhausted, let alone putting on this spectacular 4-hour show. So, I mean, from that perspective, I was mind blown. I think I had a little bit of a complicated relationship with experiencing the concert with fresh eyes, because I've been watching it on TikTok for so many years now. It's like the Eras Tour has been happening for a few years. So I feel like I've seen every clip. I watched the Cineplex Eras premiere when it came to theaters. So like I have seen the show. So that was a little bit interesting because it didn't feel like anything was necessarily fresh and new. That didn't take away from how incredible she was and how talented she is, but it definitely made me think like, oh, would I put a $10,000 price tag on this ticket? Like it did kind of bring up those feelings. And I know that is what people are paying for tickets. So definitely just an interesting experience from that side of things, because I also just did get to see Sabrina Carpenter perform, and that concert is brand new. She only just kicked off her tour very recently, and it brought up a lot of feelings of, fresh energy and kind of this new production, and like not everything has been saturated on TikTok yet. So that felt really special to see. So yeah, again, like doesn't mean good or bad, just kind of like sharing my experience. But yeah, like being able to see the Taylor community come together and riot together for this insane couple weeks in Toronto is going to be wild. And I am super grateful to be able to experience it, because genuinely I've gone to every single one of her concerts since growing up, spanning her 18 years in music. I went to the Fearless tour. I went to Speak Now. I went to Reputation. I've seen it all. So yes, this time I did get access, but listen, I've been paying my way to get to this place. So I'm a true Swiftie, all that to say. So anyways, that was kind of my Taylor spiel for today, but I hope some of you got to go to the Eras Tour while she was here in Toronto, and would love to hear about your experience as well if you did go, because the lines were crazy. I hope everyone got in on time and like made it okay, because I had some friends miss Gracie Abrams because the lines were a bit wild getting into the Rogers Center. Okay, so let's do a little wrap up of what's been going on behind the scenes, because yes, we've had the energy of Taylor and all the craziness going on, but there's been so many other things happening, and we are nearing the end of 2024, which I can't believe I'm saying, because it feels like yesterday I was just setting out all my intentions and goals for 2024. And now we're almost at the end of the year and I'm already looking ahead to 2025. Sometimes I feel like I work in the fashion industry because they're always working 6 months in advance. And I'm like, yeah, we're looking ahead to like March of 2025. I'm just like already so far ahead in my brain, but then my body is still stuck in November of 2024 and I'm executing on these things on a daily basis. So again, a little bit of conflict, mind, emotion, all of that stuff. Anyways, all that to say, this is the time of year where I typically lose myself, lose my mind, burnout tends to creep in. I don't know. It's just like you've been sprinting all year long. It's the tail end. You're trying to like hit all of those final goals before the end of the quarter. But I'm trying to just like take it easy on myself. It's been a really big year for me. I've had a lot of change. I've moved. I've like started new ventures. Just a lot of adventure, a lot of travel, a lot of good stuff. So I just kind of want to give myself a bit of grace and enter this new year with a fun new perspective. So all that to say, let me bring you back to speed. So this past weekend, I was in Europe, 48 hours in Manchester, if you will. And it was crazy. So the story goes, I was invited to the Europe Music Awards. Do I work in the music industry? No, thank you so much for asking. I don't, but I do. No, I'm kidding. I actually don't, but I do work in entertainment. I do work in media. So I guess the invite did make sense. But the whole backstory as to why I got invited was actually kind of ironic. My boyfriend and I updated you guys on this when we went to the VMAs. I chatted about it in a previous episode, but we went to the Video Music Awards, and that was because Adam was nominated, my partner, my boyfriend, was nominated for a music video, Tinashe's music video, Nasty. He shot that video. He was nominated. So we went to New York, paid our way to go to New York, like paid for our flights, hotel. We actually paid for our tickets too. I think that's important to note. We had industry access, but we paid for industry tickets and they weren't cheap. Like I think it was like $500 to go to the VMAs, which again, it was such an amazing experience and we didn't regret it at all because it was like a cool thing in his career and a fun week in New York. So it just was what it was. Then it was kind of ironic because then we got this outreach from Paramount a couple weeks later, and the team was like, Torri, we saw you were at the VMAs, but we like own MTV. Do you want to go to the EMAs, like the Europe Music Awards? And of course, I was so flattered. What a cool experience. I also love music, love content, love red carpets, love all that. So to be invited through Paramount was such a dream. And in the end, my boyfriend actually was super swamped with work, so he couldn't come. So the great fun was that I got to bring my best friend along as my plus one. And we got to fly business class together and have this really fun kind of like VIP music experience. And she actually works in the music industry. She works at Warner Music. So it just felt like this really organic fit and full circle moment. And, like we met in college. And I think for both of us to kind of experience that moment of, oh, wow, if our like first year selves could see us now in our beautiful business class seats flying to experience the creative industries at its fullest, we'd be really proud of our younger selves would be really proud of us, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that was actually really rewarding and a really, really fun experience. The red carpet portion was really fun in Europe. It was different. We got to see different types of celebrities. We actually had press access, so we could kind of like watch as the red carpet happened, got to see Shawn Mendes, got to kind of see how everyone, arrives at the red carpet. So it was really cool to have that but behind the scenes, which we didn't have when we were in New York the first time around, because again, we were just going as regular people. So this time with all of that access that Paramount granted us, it really made for this exclusive, fun, unforgettable experience. So huge shout out to Paramount. I love you guys. Can't wait to do more stuff with you because the hosting stuff is just so fun for me. So let me bring you up to speed now on what's next, because God knows when I'll be recording another episode. It seems like I'm just trying to keep this thing afloat. I'm like right, left, center. There's so much going on. But next up, I'm actually going on a Disney cruise, which I'm super pumped about. You guys know, and I've talked about Disney before in the pods, an amazing client that I love to work with and is such a dream client because I am obsessed with all things Disney. And for the cruise, I'm actually able to bring my family along, which this is the first time I've ever been able to have this like full circle experience where I've gotten to bring my family on a press trip. And that feels really exciting. I know my parents are super excited. I'm bringing my brother along. And I think it's just really fun because, my parents were epic in paying for all of those Disney trips when we were kids and having those experiences. So now being able to repay that favor and go on a really fun adventure together, I think is going to be really exciting. And I don't have the full itinerary yet, but my understanding is it's a press only experience, which means only creators and traditional press are going to be invited on the cruise. So numbers wise, I don't know what that's going to look like because obviously on a typical cruise, you'd have thousands of typical passengers. But this time around, it is closed to the public. It's only going to be media. So that is going to make for a very exclusive, fun experience. And it's a brand new cruise ship. It's going to be called the Disney Treasure. It's making its first appearance in the US, I think literally right now. I'm actually going to head to New York next week and get a very first look at the cruise ship. I don't understand. Like sometimes at the beginning of the year, this is such an aside, but like at the beginning of the year, I remember like writing in my manifestation journal being like, I'm excited for the experiences I can't even dream up yet. And I feel like the last couple of months have been all of these really exciting, cool things that have like landed. Like I don't want to say landed on my lap because actually I feel like I've been working for them for a decade, but it's just very, you start to feel when the motions start to make sense and when the puzzle pieces start to fit and you're just like, oh my God, finally I'm getting like rewarded with these experiences that I feel like I've been working towards and that I'm so excited for. So anyways, that's a bit of an aside, but I have like so much gratitude to the Disney team and I'm really excited for that trip. And it's right before the holidays. So I think that'll make it extra special. And the final trip to kick off the year is going to be a grandeur destination to the French Alps. I don't ski on a professional level. I don't even really ski on an intermediate level or a beginner level. I can drink champagne on an intermediate level at the top of the mountain. But I was invited by Club Med, which is a all-inclusive resort. I guess you'd call it an all-inclusive resort chain. They've got a bunch of different locations across the world, and they are going to be promoting their French Alps location. So really grateful. I got invited to go with some friends that are also creators in the space, and I get to bring my boyfriend along. So we're going to go on this like French Alps adventure. I will try skiing, maybe some lessons, but I'm definitely scared because I'm not very good. So I will be mostly enjoying the spa and taking cute pictures in my snow bunny outfits. But again, just like closing off the year with these experiences that I feel are Very much bucket list, very much things that I have like set out in the grander picture to manifest. Feels really good, and it feels really rewarding. And that's because of all of you guys and because of the support you give me. And I'm so grateful. Maybe this is just a sappy episode because I'm nearing the end of the year. So I'm just like, love you guys. But it's true. I wouldn't be able to have these experiences without the dedicated community of people that follow me. So very, very coming from a place of gratitude today. Okay, final thing, and this is going to then lead us into the topic of the week, so bear with me. One of these other experiences that I've gotten to have in the last couple of weeks has been hosting a massive Netflix event for the season 4 premiere of Outer Banks. Now, this was a really strange pipeline for me because I went from being like major fan of the show, watching all season 1, 2, 3. I actually, and this is so weird, like sometimes the universe works in such strange ways. I had just rewatched all of the first 3 seasons before the 4th season came out. And that's like, I mean, that is like me. I do love a rewatch, but I had seen them, you know, in recent years. So I don't know what came over me, but just one day I was like, I'm going to rewatch this show from the jump. And I just started fresh. Anyways, cut to season 4 was about to premiere, and I had just rewatched seasons 1, 2, 3. And I saw Netflix Canada had posted that they were coming, that the cast was coming to Canada to promote the new season. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And this is also a little bit unlike me, but I happened to comment on the post. I was like, wow, this is like so exciting. And I don't know if it was just like the inner fan in me because I had just rewatched all the episodes, or I don't know what came over me. Again, universe, twinkly lights. But I comment on the post. I'm like, this is so exciting. I'm so stoked for this. And anyways, like the next day in my inbox, I have this email from Netflix and they said, hey, Torri, we saw you commented on our post that the cast is coming to town. We saw you're super stoked. We really want a host for the event that loves the show. Any chance you're interested? I'm like, turns out social listening is like the best way to get a job these days. Fantastic. I was so excited. I couldn't believe they thought of me. And I can't believe that comment on literally an Instagram post like changed the game. But yeah, they saw that I was super excited about the show and they asked me to host the event, which I was so grateful for. And it turned into like, yeah, the craziest turn of events. I ended up hosting the Netflix Part 2 premiere with over 700 fans of the show. Got to interview the cast on the red carpet, got to, you know, spend time with them in the green room, have this very cool behind the scenes experience. So it was just like such an epic experience. And I just couldn't really believe that I went from sitting on my couch being like a Netflix obsessed streaming, I was going to say loser, which that's not the word I'm looking for, but I definitely was like a shut-in, like obsessed with all 3 seasons. And then turns out I'm in a beautiful red dress hosting the red carpet and hosting this fan event. So like, listen, anything is possible. Keep believing, keep dreaming, okay? So anyways, this pipeline has now led me to my topic of the week, which is what I want to chat about today, the future of live events in digital marketing. And I wanted to talk about this because it's all about kind of harnessing community and connection. And I also want to chat about why live events I feel are more relevant than ever. So like I mentioned, I did have the opportunity to perform for 700 very electric fans in the room, which made for just an experience I haven't felt in a really long time. And I want to chat about this because it's really about highlighting connection and also connection between live events and then also fan loyalty and how fans feel they can now connect with people and actors and brands in a live setting. Now, obviously, this has changed a lot because we're in a post-pandemic world now. The energy has shifted, and it's really about blending this digital to the in-person experiences and really creating these, like I mentioned, meaningful connections and something beyond just like a social media post. So let's talk about the power of live events to build community. Now, number one, I felt like this event was community at the core. This was people that were dedicated fans of Outer Banks, people that really wanted to be in the room to celebrate not only the actors, but also the story. And I feel like what we've been missing in the digital showed up so much at this event because it was this sense of belonging. It was gathering together for something where people had the same belief system, people had the same excitement, and it didn't matter that there wasn't something tangible, if that makes sense. Like people were not winning a product, people were not walking away with like handout, but they were getting this exclusive experience. And I think that has been lost in brand activation. So again, this portion of the episode might be targeted more to people on the digital marketing side that are working on brand, because I think I want to encourage people to see it from this perspective because it was so powerful and very successful. So I do think that these events can create very emotional bonds for people. And it also means that they will advocate for a brand or an experience on a more passionate level. Like I think people left that night with such high regard for Netflix. And I think Netflix noticed that. They were like, this went really well. Like, yes, it was a concert as well. Like, yes, we had the cast there. We had some cast members there that we did a Q&A on stage. I hosted a Q&A on stage with them. But it was also a concert, and that was the Arkells. It came to me. It was like basically a free concert. I mean, Canadians love the Arkells. They're from Canada. And it turned into like a free concert. They performed all night. They had fans on stage. It was so interactive. So this brings me to another point of why brands should invest in these live interactions with influencers, because this is not happening as much as I think it should happen. And this experience left me with such a wonderful taste in my mouth that I want more. So influencers can act as connectors, in my opinion. Okay. So we have this like unique position where we can be this bridge between a brand and an audience. And I really felt this at that live event because I was kind of this middleman. It felt like the audience members could come up to me and connect with me. And yes, maybe they couldn't chat with like the Outer Banks cast because they were more, behind the scenes and exclusive and kept in the green rooms. But it did feel like real life people could like interact with me, have this very high end experience, connect with the influencers, see the celebrities on stage, and then walk away feeling really good about their night. And the thing is, influencers can thrive in this involvement. And I don't know why we're not brought into this conversation a little bit more, because it could happen in different ways. It doesn't have to just be a live event where, like I'm talking about, it was a celebrity experience plus a concert. It could be other things. Like it could be influencer involvement in a product launch. Like, for example, why aren't there more beauty masterclasses led by influencers? I think that would be like an amazing fit if a brand was to put an influencer in that space and then bring in real life consumers. And I guess that's what I'm trying to advocate for. It's weird that even my conversation about Taylor Swift is really kind of making sense under this context as well. I want the everyday consumer to have the access that the influencers have been granted. That's what I want. That's what I want to happen next in the industry. Yes, do I think influencers can still have a role? For sure. Make them the host, make them the middleman between the consumer and the brand. Like we can bring the story together, but I do think we need to have more consumer-led experiences, experiential events like pop-ups that are just meant for consumers, maybe hosted by an influencer, but still meant for consumers. And I know they're trying to do a lot of that right now with the Eras Tour, which I think is great. It's like, this is like fan-led, right? Like let's make sure that the fans are getting their true experience. Fan meetups, like this was kind of like the Outer Banks experience, but like, get 700 fans in a room and like, let's give them a special experience and leave, like I said, a very nice taste in their mouth when they walk away and they think, wow, I was really just treated tonight. It was an open bar. They got all this food. Like give them the experience that the influencers have been getting for the last decade. And there is massive value for brands in this, right? It's increased authenticity. So when consumers get this experience, they're like, oh, I never realized that I was able to have this like relatability with an influencer and kind of get this really cool experience that they always tend to get behind the scenes. And also you're going to probably get a lot of UGC content out of it because real fans are going to create real content, which is amazing. So that's just an extra added bonus. And there's also the extra layer of content, right? So you could do live streaming, you can have audience generated content like I just mentioned. So there's so many different ways that you can be, yes, creating a live event, but then having all this supplementary digital content in support. So I don't know why brands aren't doing this more. This is just me like now on a rant. But okay, the final thing is, again, back to the Eras Tour. It does feel like brands are starting to tap into pop culture tie-ins. But I think there's like more that can be done, especially when it comes to show launches. That felt like a really strategic way to get people excited about a new season, a new combination of episodes. And I think that live events, what they give people is emotion. And like we're missing that when it comes to social media sometimes. And I do think, like I said, there can be this supplementary tie-in to content. And it's interesting because I had shot a video with some of the actors on the red carpet, and I don't want to give too much away, but essentially one of the leads like dies off of the show. And I didn't realize that when I was interviewing him. So I posted a video after the fact being like, like when you interview the lead actor, not realizing he's killed off in the next portion of the season. And it went viral on TikTok, obviously, because people just love that like take. But what an amazing tie-in, right? Like we've already had this massively successful event. We've promoted the whole season. 700 fans got access. Then you get an influencer to post about it, and the video has 500,000 views. Like that's influence. Like that's when it's like finally a 360 version. You're getting people excited to watch the show. You're keeping the conversation going online, but you've also had this very successful live event where people are walking away with an emotional tie to the show. So again, I just want brands to consider this and how they can incorporate live interactions with influencers into their chapters for 2025 and beyond. Okay, so I'll end the episode on this. I want to leave you guys with some actionable takeaways. You know, I'm all about creating value. So for the influencers, I really encourage you to look for opportunities to partner with brands on live experiences that align with your niche. For me, it's obviously entertainment. So that was like such an iconic example to share with you guys today about the Netflix Outer Banks launch. But leverage these hybrid elements to reach fans who can't attend in person online as well. So like I said, create those videos afterwards, connect with your community, and take it beyond the live event. So yes, live event, but then plus when it comes to digital. Then for brands, you really want to focus on events that prioritize the audience. Like I said, audience over influencer, right? Like let's create connection over spectacle. This goes back to the Taylor, the Eras thing. Let's give real people real access, real experiences. And of course, choose influencers who align authentically with you and your brand that can ultimately elevate the experience. Like I hope that I elevated the Netflix one, which I think I did. I brought my expertise to it and my background, my entertainment background to the role, and I think it really brought everything together. So to end off today's episode, quick little wrap up, I just want to say live events are more than a marketing strategy, okay? I think this is a great way to humanize brands. This is a great way to foster community and create super lasting memories for real audience members that are ultimately your consumers. These are people that are paying for your service, okay? So it's really important. And I do want you guys to share your experience as well. So if you have a live event that is kind of like stuck in your brain and you're like, it changed my life, whether it's a concert, whether it's a brand event, leave a comment below. I would love to hear your impact or your insight here because I know it's really important to people. And obviously I know climbing out of the pandemic, it's like we went 0 to 100, and I understand it's like a bit of a slow grind getting back to where we were, but just leaving that event and having such a positive experience, I just wanted to kind of angle the pod around that today, and especially, again, the concerts, all of the jazz going on in my life, it kind of just led me. I always tell you guys that the episodes get inspired by kind of what's happening in my life, so I just felt like this was very in alignment, and I really want to push for more hosting, more live events in 2025. Here's me manifesting more for the future of my career and the pod. Okay, well, I will see you guys next time. Love you. Mean it. Bye.